Welcome to the 2026 financial ecosystem. We all know the credit score game feels, rigged. It's a black box that decides if you get a house or end up with a predatory interest rate.
Right, yeah. And today we're ignoring the standard advice and looking directly at the code. We've got the documentation on the latest algorithms. That's FICO 10T and VantageScore 4.0.
Which is huge because, frankly, the rules have completely shifted under our feet. Our mission for this deep dive is to decode the math behind the score and, show you how to optimize your profile for this modern era.
Exactly. Because we've moved from a system of static snapshots to what the industry is calling trended data. It's a massive pivot in risk calculation.
So the days of gaming your score over a weekend are effectively over.
They really are.
Because the old model was essentially a photographer taking a single picture once a month.
Right.
Like if I paid off my maxed out card the day before the photo.
You looked like a responsible genius.
Right. But these new models are watching the whole movie.
Yeah, they're analyzing a 24-month historical trajectory. The algorithms are now designed to distinguish between two specific behaviors. You have your transactors and your revolvers.
This is the part that gets me. So a transactor pays in full every month. They just use credit for points or convenience.
And a revolver carries a balance.
Right. And in the past, if a revolver came into some money and paid everything off right before a loan application, they looked identical to the transactor.
Correct. But to a lender, those two people are very different risks. The revolver who just paid off debt is statistically more likely to run it back up.
Because of that history.
Exactly. The new algorithms see that 23-month history of carrying a balance and flag it as financial stress, whereas the transactor gets flagged for stability.
It's much harder to mask your habits now. Consistency is the new currency.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the one area where we can still technically game this system. Utilization.
Yeah.
It's still 30% of the score.
Yeah.
And the trap here is the due date.
It is the most common inefficiency I see. People confuse the due date with the reporting date.
Which is usually the statement closing date, about 3 weeks earlier.
Usually, yes.
So if I wait until the due date to pay, the bank has already reported my high balance to the bureaus. I look maxed out even if I pay it to 0 days later.
Precisely. You're letting them take the snapshot when you look your worst.
The fix here is what we call mid-cycle balance arbitrage. You pay the bill 2 or 3 days before the statement closes.
But you don't actually want to hit zero.
Right. I found this fascinating in the research. Why not zero?
It's completely counterintuitive. If you hit absolute zero on every card, the algorithm treats you as inactive. It looks like you aren't using the credit you have.
So the mathematical optimum isn't 0%.
No, it's having one card report between 1 and 2%.
It's ridiculous that we have to be that precise.
Yeah.
But 1% shows activity without risk. Now, pivoting to people who don't even have a file to optimize, the credit invisibles.
The industry is solving this by demanding more data access. That's the trade-off with tools like UltraFICO.
Right. It's designed for people with thin files. It scans your actual bank account activity, checking and savings, to find responsible cash flow that doesn't show up on a standard report.
It effectively thickens the file, but the price is your privacy.
You're handing FICO the keys to your checking account history just to get a score.
It is a privacy trade, yes. But for someone blocked from the financial system, it might be the only lever they have. We're also seeing this with rent reporting platforms like Boom.
Which makes sense. If I pay rent on time for 2 years, that should count.
And now it does. These platforms can retroactively report 24 months of history. We're seeing an average lift of 105 points.
That's a massive jump for doing something you were already doing, a real lifeline. But for those trying to repair a mess, the news looks different. I used to tell people to write goodwill letters to get late payments removed.
The sources suggest that's a waste of postage now. In this regulatory environment, lenders are terrified of compliance. They are legally mandated to report accurate data.
So they won't fudge the numbers because you wrote a nice letter.
No, they won't. However, there is a silver lining with collections.
The pay-for-delete negotiation.
Which is becoming obsolete, but for a good reason. The newer models, specifically VantageScore 4.0, automatically ignore collection accounts once they are paid in full.
You don't need to negotiate the deletion anymore. You just need to zero the balance, and the math fixes itself.
It really seems like credit has morphed from a bill-paying task into a data management job.
That's the best way to view it. In 2026, you need to be auditing that data. Check your reports weekly at annualcreditreport.com. With trended data, an error that sits there for 3 months ruins your trajectory for 2 years.
It absolutely does.
And that leads to a final Slightly darker thought to leave you with. If these algorithms are judging us on a 24-month movie rather than a snapshot, have we created a system that mathematically punishes recovery?
That is the big question.
If you fix your finances today, but the algorithm holds a grudge for 2 years because of your trajectory, are we forcing people to live in the shadow of their past mistakes far longer than necessary? Thanks for deep diving with us.